Hola a todos y bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio de Una Chilena en Hollywood. En el día de hoy tenemos una invitada especial, la directora Rubin, la cual dirigió el documental y short film llamado Mama Has a Mustache. And in Spanish, you want to know how it sounds? Mamá tiene bigote. Así que los invito a disfrutar este episodio donde seremos una corresponsal especial para el Festival de San Francisco. ¿Cómo estás, Sally? How are you doing today?
Yeah, me too.
I'm very good. I'm very excited to be here with you and learn a little bit more about your film. So first of all, something that I love to do, my show is called A Chilena in Hollywood. And I grew up with big dreams. I'm a dreamer. I'm a Gemini. So I like to dream big. And I invite all of my guests to dream with me and ask them first, what was your childhood dream? And are you living your dream right now?
Gosh, that's a really good question. Makes me choked up a little bit to think about my childhood dreams. I am living my dream. My dream, I wanted to be an actor and then writer. But really what I wanted was to make a difference. And I'm definitely doing that. And I go to work every day. I'm a college documentary film professor and documentary filmmaker. And not for one day does it feel like work. So absolutely, I am living my childhood dream, which was to make a difference in people's lives.
Oh, and that's so inspiring to hear. Any inspirations that you had growing up with filmmakers, like somebody that you were like, oh my God, I want to be like that director or that actress, or even with music? What were your inspirations growing up?
Well, I remember I think it was 1992, when Hoop Dreams came out, that documentary about two basketball players from Chicago. And I went and saw that in the theater. This was before there were really documentaries on TV other than, PBS, National Geographic type films. And I remember going to see that and just thinking, wow, like that is what I want to do. Something that's nonfiction, that's based on real people's lives. And I was young. I was probably 14, 15 years old. And that absolutely inspired me. The filmmaker, a lot of the early feminist filmmakers back then, Allison Anders, who doesn't do documentaries, but she made some feminist films based on women that really, really inspired me. And then my biggest mentor, David Sutherland, who's an incredible documentary filmmaker. To this day, I still think he's the best filmmaker that's ever existed.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I watched the short documentary film, and I loved it. It's just, my experience by watching that is taking me back to my own childhood, and also as grown-ups that we are now. It's really nice to listen to kids, that innocence, and there's always some truth and authenticity with what they say. And something that I love at the end, it was that all of them were saying like how much they love themselves, and growing up with such a beautiful mindset gives a lot of hope for new generations. So when it comes to the creative process behind all of this project that you you made it happen, how was it working with the kids? And then with the visuals, like how was it first? How was the vision behind all of this? If you can share.
Really good questions. Working with the kids just experientially, before I talk about sort of process, was so much fun. And, I started this film in February 2020, 1 month before the pandemic hit. I did my first couple interviews on Zoom, not on Zoom, in person with the kids. And, everything was normal. 1 month later, we were all isolated and, shelter in place, and it was the pandemic. So everything had to be done after that, virtually, Zoom interviews, FaceTime interviews, passing off gear, sanitized gear to the parents, leaving it outside the building so we didn't have any contact. It was crazy. In many ways it was the perfect pandemic project, because it was so fun and delightful to get to be in these kids' worlds in such an immersive sort of way. So I really, was pretty systematic in my process with this film as opposed to other films, especially because it did involve kids. Wrote out the interview questions that I knew I wanted to ask them. I didn't exactly know how the film was going to look but I had a rough shape of it, and I knew it wasn't so much something that I wanted to say. It was more a question that I wanted to pose, a query, and kind of follow that query. So I wrote out my questions, ran them by the parents, lined up the kids for the interviews, would have conversations with them, audio only. I didn't even record any video. Conversations were short. I mean, these kids were 5 and 6 years old, so it was maybe 20, 30-minute conversations. And then I strung it out in a timeline into like a 20-minute audio clip. Then I worked with an editor to bring it down to about 10 minutes. Then I started working with my animator, and we had to make a lot of decisions, including what did we want the vibe to be? What was the color palette going to be? I think in many ways, one of the most interesting decisions that we had to make, and this didn't come until we were maybe about halfway through, was the realization that we really wanted this to be from the children's point of view, not a grown-up's point of view looking in, but really, like, if you look at the animation, you see kids' hands coming out in the foreground as if you're inside their head. So that was a big creative kind of turning point. And I knew that I wanted archival in there, and I wanted to sort of, I had always wanted to play around with those old fabulous infomercials and commercials from the 50s with the traditional American housewives, and thought it would be so fun to like literally cut those up, deconstruct them on screen, and then reconstruct them in a new kind of way. So that was really my approach, you know, working in all that old archival material, calling on sort of, you know, everyday America where we've been for the past 60 or 70 years, and then really cutting that up and creating this vibe of sort of a new frontiers. Where are we at today?
Oh, that's cool. How does it feel to be showing your work at the San Francisco Film Festival? You've been selected to other festivals too. How does it feel to be there?
This is very gratifying because I have submitted 1, 2, 3, I think 4 other films, my 4 other major directorial pieces, without any luck. Sort of finally have a film in this festival that I have like coveted for so long is awesome. And, you know, San Francisco's, obviously it's a top festival, and I know that they're very selective, and they curate very specifically and in a kind of very specific kind of way that's different from other film festivals. So it's a thrill to be there and to have a film that's so much based on queer content going to be screening at the Castro Theater in the heart of one of the gayest cities in America and probably in the world. Feels really, really good.
Yeah, and especially now that everything is back in person. There's so many events happening. So
yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, in person. Yay, with humans in person.
With actual people.
My other question is, what is the vision that you have? Because this is also like what you're doing has a social impact that you want to create. So what is the vision that you want to make and the social impact with this film?
I really want, I mean, with all my films, I never set out with them to sort of make a point. I set out to more inspire conversation and spark dialogue. And, you know, funny enough, my film is coming out right around the time that there's all of this national controversy around youth and gender identity, which is exactly what the film deals with. So it is definitely, you know, I want the tool to be used as a talking point for conversation around this stuff, and for people to see that, you know, whether or not you're teaching something in schools, kids are already thinking about and talking about gender identity, to a certain extent, sexual orientation as they get older. And yeah, you know, I hope that the film can be used as a tool for change within this conversation.
Yeah, and that went to my other question too, and into like, what do you think people need to watch this film right now, and especially for my South American audience, which is still like getting used to all of this change, and here with what's happening in America, especially in Florida, with the not saying gay, which is
don't say gay.
Is crazy that is happening, especially in this time. So why do you think people need to watch it? And how can we contribute for more people to watch it too?
Well, I do think that in general, people don't give kids enough credit. You know, we think that they're these blank slates, and it's our job to sort of impart on them the various life lessons that we want them to learn. We forget that they come into this world with experiences, impressions of their own that grow quickly through the media at school. You know, kids are already thinking outside the box around so many issues. So I think the film shows, and why it's important for people to see it, is it shows that kids are very, very inherently wise and compassionate, and they have the ability to tackle conversations that for us as adults are much more difficult to tackle.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about watching kids, and not forgetting our own inner child too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of that authenticity that I was telling you, and they speak with that truth that makes you laugh sometimes because it's so truthful the way that they see the world. So
Yeah.
definitely connecting with that inner child more, I would say, is a beautiful thing. And I feel that from your what you created. And I just wanted to, the last question is to ask you, like, what is next? What projects do you have coming up? And where can we watch this film from now on?
Right now, if anyone wants to see the film, they can reach out to me and my team. Go to mamahasamustache.com. Mustache is Mustache. Sometimes people add an O, but there's no O in the American spelling. mamahasamustache.com. It will eventually be streaming. I can't exactly say where or when, but that is in the works, which is very exciting. You will be able to see it online. And I'm working on developing more similar related shorts, talking to kids about other issues and potentially building it out into a series. So there will be more of this, more kids talking, basically.
Love it. Hope some South American kids, maybe.
That'd be amazing. I'd love to hear from some South Americans, some Chilean kids in particular.
That would be fun. So the invitation is extended for South America.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please do reach out.
Yeah. Well, Sally, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inspiring everybody and inspiring the world with your art. And lots of success at the festival.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So much. Pueden ver el documental Mama Has a Mustache at the Castro Theater this Saturday, right?
Right.
Sábado 23 a las 10 a.m., 10 a.m. at the Castro Theater.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sally.
Thank you.